Okay, so let's get started. Let me share my screen. So we're going to be doing two things. We're going to be talking about the March deliverables, and we'll do this every month, every week. I think it's a really good way to understand what everyone's working on, because the old product roadmap was a little too broad and repetitive, right? So, but this is more granular, and we can actually dive a little bit deeper. And then we can talk about the performance reviews this month. And in fact, maybe we should get that out of the way first. Jack or Maddie, do you guys want to just talk about some of these dates and what's outstanding?
Well, the entire team is outstanding, Giv.
Sure.
Nicely put, Sam.
Thanks, Jack. Happy Monday morning.
Happy Monday, everybody. Happy GDC week for those in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's a game developer conference, by the way. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of great feedback and praises for the entire team. We've definitely been working hard the entire quarter, season, mainnet, you name it. As for the structure of the performance review, we were actually supposed to complete the peer review by 3:15. So that was our bad in not being clear about that. So hopefully we can catch up and get into coordinate mode by the end of this week and close it out. The voting should open by the end of the day today. We're still in the process of setting up the voting via coordinate. And if you have any questions about how coordinate works and whatnot, please reach out. In general, it's sort of like a praise token or a token-based praise mechanism that you're given a set amount of tokens on coordinate that you can then assign to somebody that you think have helped the harmony, the community, your work in general the most. And you want to recognize the contributions by your peer that you've seen work diligently, really hard, in a very intelligent way to help the Harmony ecosystem. So, so when it opens up, you get to see an interface that you can sort of start assigning those, I guess, allocation of tokens to your peers. So we'll switch the dates here a little bit to make sure that we can have the voting end date be pulled into, is it 3/25? I'm not sure whether that's agreed upon yet, but we're trying to pull those dates in, and so that we can have all the adjustments and whatnot by the managers by the end of the month. Maddie, did I miss anything that you might want to add?
No, that was actually that was great. It's just what's exciting about this is we don't often get to work alongside of everybody on the team. We're often scattered in many cities, doing very different tasks from each other, and this gives us an opportunity to share with each other and share with the community some of our accomplishments over the first quarter, and to give a lot of praise to the hard work for those that we don't work next to every day, to be able to recognize what they've done, their self-assessment, how their peers view them and their accomplishments, and also what they intend on improving upon for the next quarter. This is a really great opportunity to get a really deeper understanding of how our team functions internally, and kind of how we view the impact that we make on our ecosystem. And so this was actually the first review process I was a part of, and I got to learn a lot about some of those that I don't work with every day, and it was great insight. So.
Jack, I think last quarter, Sam made a little sweet video that walks you through how to use coordinate. Sam, do you still have that?
I have that actually.
Oh,
I
nice.
can share that on the peer review channel.
Why don't you also add it to this document here, add a link to it
Cool.
so that people can easily find it. And just one last thing is the self-assessments. This is a requirement if you want to be eligible for bonuses. So I recommend you go in and add these. Most people have, some people didn't know about it because it was a last minute addition, but there are still some folks here who need to go in and add their own assessment for Q1, right? Basically touching on your 3 areas of focus and what was accomplished for the last quarter. So for mine, you can see here, I've got grants, products, operations, and I've also split my, the percentage of how much, oh, this is only, that doesn't add up to 100.
It does. It does.
It does, it
I
does.
think
I'm
it
sorry.
It does. See,
Sorry,
1
it's too
plus
early. Oh,
3
no.
Real
is equal
time
to
math.
4.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
4
yeah.
plus 6 is equal
I
to
get
10.
it. Thanks, Sam.
Wait, Gabe,
You're welcome.
shouldn't it
I
be
just wanted to make sure, Gabe. You got that.
Shouldn't it be 150%, Gabe?
Yeah, right. It should be. It should be. Yeah. It's because my specialty is in jet fuel. That's why.
That's the mixture right there. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for answering.
So yeah. So make sure you've got your areas of focus and your self-assessments done ASAP. Okay. And there you go. Matt's on it. Anything else for performance reviews? If anyone actually wants to look at it, this is all public. If you go to harmony.1/perf, PERF, you can actually view this.
I do have a question really quick, Gabe, on this performance review. For those of us who may have had their ownerships change throughout the quarter, do we do what the ownership should have looked like at the beginning? Do we reflect back about, okay, I put this much time into these different categories, or do we just do what our ownership looks like at the end of the quarter?
Your call. Whatever's more prominent, I guess, or whatever you spend more time on.
Okay.
You can actually mention that in the.
Yeah, it's in my
assessment.
kind of narrative of the
Mhm.
self-assessment, but I just, for the quick look, I wanted to make sure that I was consistent.
Yeah, your call. You can touch on all of them as well. Okay. Any other questions about performance reviews? So actually, I did want to add one more thing. So a lot of folks here may not know, but contributors, as a lot here, because people have been writing some great reviews. We actually do have a section for full-time fellows. Okay, you may not even know about this. See, for example, people have been writing very nice things about you. So go and read it. Aaron, Essa, Victor, lots of goodies waiting for you, which you may not be aware of.
So Giv just Lee's been chasing me down like a hound dog for the past 24 hours. So Lee, you heard directly from my mouth. I'm working on it. I didn't realize I needed to write a self-assessment. So you should have it by, give me an additional one day. Like I'll have it ready by end of day today.
Yeah. It is kind of our bad. This was a last minute thing. I think it was added over the weekend. So no worries. Victor, for example, if you could go in and also just mention what you guys worked on. Okay.
I won't forget about you, Z. So the managers should just remind their fellows and communicate to everybody who may not be on this call, but all the contributors have mentors and managers. And one thing, if anybody has reached the bottom of this document, we're actually using Daniel Pagan's self-assessment as the role model for the entire team.
Look at that.
So
nice work, Daniel.
yeah.
Is Daniel on this call?
I'm here, just not exactly sure what to say, but thank you. Actually, when I wrote it, I thought maybe it was a little overkill, but I felt it was appropriate. So
This situation, Daniel, is when you take a bow and say, thank you, thank you. That's right. You all need to look up to me. I am a trendsetter. It is my profession.
thank you, thank you.
Okay, anything else? That's a
So-
long list.
It is.
Mhm.
So manager, well, everyone should finish and the manager should help your individuals to finish. I told Give, Jack, and Matt to not add you to coordinate until you're done.
Okay,
All right.
moving on to March deliverables. Okay, so what's happening today is this page is going to be locked at the end of this meeting, except for managers. They will be able to, so if you have to make any updates, you need to go through your managers. So do take some time, I guess, during this call, just to make sure your progress is up to date. And as a reminder, these do need to add up to 100%. So your items do need to be very specific and measurable, right? So just saying I'm going to work on something is going to be impossible to measure, right? So that's why you've got things like numbers, right? Lee, 1,000 users, 10 investors, publish, right? These are very definitive and measurable items. So yeah, let's go through some of these. I'm guessing like the best thing would be to maybe focus on the ones that have the lowest percentages. And is that why you're bouncing here?
Yes. I highlighted folks who are who have low percentages. Either we need to rescope, it's unrealistic, or it's just not the right deliverable for this month. So if you're really not even at 50% today, it's the 21st, right? So if you're not at least over 50% on each and 200% on the total, just rescope, work with your manager. Our challenge has really been like actually making sure things are shipped and giving very realistic deliverables. So yeah, I only highlighted the 5% and the 10%, but everyone should really, even I've rescoped mine to be very specific, just like from the learnings from the last few weeks. Even something like with the one wallet, right? The original was to get 1,000 influencers. I don't think that's practical, but we can get 1,000 users in March to give us feedback on the product. So look through yours and make sure that it is something that you are going to deliver. Otherwise, it's really not a deliverable for this month.
And also, these are not it's not everything you're working on, right? I know everyone's working on many things. So you're supposed to handpick items that you're actually committing to completing, right? So just pick things that you feel confident about, that you think will have high impact. Highlight those and put some numbers behind them and commit to it. Okay, Leo. Is Leo here? Leo's not here. Okay.
Might be at GDC.
Yeah. A few folks are at GDC right now. Okay, yeah. I mean, so just looking at Leo's here, you can see Elastic RPC database endpoints. Like, what about it?
Right.
Right. Like, it needs to be, is it deploy? Is it to reach some kind of metric? Same with Coinbase Rosetta. It should be, again, very definitive, complete Coinbase Rosetta integration, right? Just the language will make it more easier to measure. Okay, who should we do next? Lee, who are you highlighting next?
Peter, is he on? Is Peter? He might be at GDC. Okay, so
all the slackers are taking time off.
Yeah, anybody? Wolf, Boris. I just keep going down the list.
Boris, let's go.
Yeah, Boris, are you on?
Is Boris here?
Adrian.
Adrian's here. Adrian,
Yep,
let's
I'm
go.
here. Okay, so the timeless wallet video treatments. So change. Z gave me a deadline of the 12th for next month.
Okay.
We will hit that deadline. The pre-production for that, which is essentially a treatment and what we want to do, will be done by the end of the month. And then
So that's
onboard-
still a 20?
it's still a 20 because it doesn't go up until you write it down. So we have it we have like a discussions of what we wanted to do, but until you write it down, it's not real.
Yeah.
That magic to Lee's ears. He loves hearing that. Onboarding 2 video editors. So the video editor situation has been kind of a struggle because everyone says they can do it, but then they end up not being able to do it for whatever reason. Either not skilled or just don't have the experience or something like that. But I have been in talks with one person. That's why it's at 50%. This one lady, she actually works at CNN, and she says she wants to help us out. And so it's kind of a double bonus. So all of our content will be funneled through somebody that works at CNN. That doesn't hurt. And a second video editor, Lee greenlit me to find someone on Indeed with very specific metrics. And I've been going through it with Danny, and I think we've found a handful that we want to interview. So we're at this place where I think we can actually onboard somebody good. So that one is someone that I want who's going to be able to travel, do all that stuff. And everyone says they can do it, but it's a different beast to be able to really do it. I need to find a silverback gorilla, and finish E3O recap video. We got some amazing footage in Rio. Rio was really an eye-opener for the team. Can I share a little bit about Rio, or is that
Sure.
going off topic?
Yeah, that's fine.
So, one of the things about Rio that I think was an eye-opener for the whole team was going in with an expectation of what we wanted to do and leaving with very different expectations. And also just really, really understanding what a place like Rio or Brazil in general really needs. So I think Rio was more of a listening thing as opposed to, telling everyone how we can help. It's more like, hey, what actually do you guys need? What actually matters in your area? And it really boiled down to, in some ways, the favelas is essentially the slums. And there's a lot of people from the favelas that have no opportunity. And their options, and this is not a joke, this is their real option from the words of the locals, is they have an option to sell drugs, or they have an option to, educate themselves. And educating themselves is very hard where they are. And by giving them the opportunity to learn something like this, even as small as just like minting NFTs, like there's amazing talented artists that still have to resort to selling drugs and doing all this stuff because they don't see a way to monetize their art. So, by providing opportunities and showing them the path and showing them that it is possible, I think we're really making a difference, to the point of, the fact that we went in there with a limited number of speaking engagements. We ended up with 5+ extra speaking engagements. I had my first speaking engagement. I spoke. And on top of that, one of the leaders of the favelas that was empowering the youth around there, she just broke out in tears. We actually were able to film her reaction and the community's reaction. I'm like getting like kind of flustered thinking about it. Like the whole room got like hot in the face, like going through it, and just a really powerful experience. Like to be able to see the impact we're making. I don't think people realize I don't think you really grasp the gravity of what we're building until you see it in those face-to-face interactions. And when you really see that, it only makes you want to go harder, stronger, makes you want to just do more. So I think that was one of the, hats off to Danny and Boris, who really kind of like said we needed to be there. We did need to be there. And I think we should be in Latin America more. I think there's a lot of good that we can do in that area. But we're going to have a recap video of that. Filmed a lot of really great stuff, and I should have that out by the end of the month. So
Nice. Thanks, Adrian.
Can I make a quick comment?
Of course.
Yeah. What you guys saw in Rio, this is 80% of the world, right? When we think harmony, this is what we should be pushing as an organization. It's Africa, it's LATAM, it's lots of places in India, etc., where we can truly make a difference in people's lives. When you look at the Maslow pyramid and these countries, where I come from in Europe, crypto is really at the top of the pyramid. When you go to those places, it's the opposite, right? And that's how I see the work that we do with harmony in these places. It's the bottom of the pyramid, if we can have them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Edward. Okay, let's move on. Avi, he's not on the call. Daniel, I see a 30% there, so you've been flagged.
I've been flagged.
You've been flagged. Anything under
Oh,
50?
no.
Anything under 50?
Oh no. Okay. Should I go through all three or should I go through the one at 30?
You can go over everything and just talk about the 30 as well.
Okay. So Chrome extension sunset. We deployed 1.2.8, I think, recently. And thank you, Give, for
It's
the help
pending.
in
Pending release.
pending there. And that should be accepted by Google hopefully today. That includes a couple of changes on the disclaimer that gets displayed, the accept button, and so on. We've already published everything we needed to publish about the Chrome extension sunset. We've linked to the appropriate articles from the wallet. So, when they get that disclaimer, they can click it. It'll bring them to instructions on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how to migrate off of the that extension and onto MetaMask. So I think I need to update that from 85 to probably 90. Really, the last thing that we need to do, sorry, there's one other thing that we need to do. And this is on the kind of back burner here because of how we changed our approach. But it's to continue reaching out to our ecosystem partners about the Harmony Chrome extension and just have them slowly kind of remove it from their app. So yeah, we can put that at 90. 10 meetups via Ambassador DAO. One of our Ambassador DAO governors is actually on the call, Rachel. Not that I'm going to put you on the spot or anything, but hello. And we're on track for 10 meetups. I think we're actually on track for 11 meetups for this month. We have a pretty good, Rachel and another governor, Miguel, worked on a flowchart going from the idea of having a meetup to getting it funded and holding it and everything in between. So that flow chart's put together. We're going to be using it for the 10 meetups, and we're using it moving forward so we can scale. On track there. We could probably change that to 80%. And then by the end of the month, once we actually hold all of them, we'll just bump it all the way to 100.
And if I could add something, on
Sure.
Tuesday, Miguel and I are going to be hosting a training call for ambassadors, and we are on track to hit all 10 cities for this month. We will probably surpass that.
Are we recording that, Rachel? We're recording the training session for the ambassadors?
Lee said yesterday that he requested that we do that. So yes, it will be recorded.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, and then we can use that as like a training resource for any ambassador that we onboard moving forward. Or maybe that's something that we do on a quarterly basis. We'll have the recording, but every quarter maybe we hold another training session, refresh slide decks that we're using and so on. Okay, and the 30%. Initiate timeless wallet social media campaign. So I'm working with a couple of people from the timeless wallet team. I'm also working with Wellness One from the community, Sean, on this effort. And it's basically like a grassroots effort in our social media channels to come up with a strategy on promoting One Wallet and onboard as many people as possible and raise awareness at the same time. That's still at 30%. We are making progress, but it's a little slow. I think that we can make a lot of progress this week, though, because there's really what this means when I say initiate the social media campaigns is really define what that's going to look like, right? We're not going to execute it this month. There's no way that we can execute it this month, excuse me, but we can at least define what that's going to look like and a rough timeline, so that once as Timeless Wallet matures and it comes to full production, we can just start pulling the trigger on each one. So we can leave that at 30. I will make sure to update that as we make progress throughout the week. And we'll make some aggressive progress there as well.
Thank you, Daniel. I see Danny is frantically editing. But you have been flagged, Danny. Let's go.
Yeah, so that's just further defining it, like you said earlier. But like Adrian said, we finally have the song that we want to use, and we got ideas brewed in our head. So we're coming to office this week on Wednesday to really try to finalize some opinions with Z and with Steven. So that should be wrapped up by the end of the month. As far as 5 creative grantees, I found 2 or 3 in Rio that I'm gonna help finalize, the deal for Project Y this week. And NFTLA is coming up, so looking forward to meeting more projects there. And I'm sure it won't be an issue to find some creative grantees there.
Rachel, did you have a question?
Yeah, quick question. Are we meeting in the office this week? Because I remember Steven saying at the last office meetup that we were going to be at GDC this week.
I don't think so. Lee, is that right? Like this week, everyone's in SF, right?
Yeah, at GDC, no office. And,
no office, yeah.
We'll post that.
If you go to harmony.1/GDC, there's a schedule of all the events and the TGIs with details there.
Copy.
So then Danny and I will be there next week.
Yeah, come next week.
And next week. All right.
Well, you can still come this week and come to the TGIs, but if you want to do actual work.
You and Danny are going to be at NFT LA next week.
So we will be there the week after.
Okay.
Regardless, me and Adrian are going to get together this week to finalize the treatment, and we'll be hitting up Z and Steven.
Okay.
And we'll be meeting at our new office
in
Los Angeles.
Oh, nice.
Today.
Very cool.
So
send us pictures.
It's very nice.
Definitely. And any of you, if you guys are ever in LA, come to our newly hosted TGIs that we're going to be having here in LA.
Does it have Wi-Fi?
Of course.
That means it's better than our office. Near Palo Alto.
Okay, thanks, Danny. Hawk one's good. Maddie.
Cool. So my first deliverable is identify 9 governors and create the proposal for basic DAO. I've listed that at 10%. However, it's a little bit more, but I haven't communicated a lot of those notes to our team yet. So I still consider it at 10% while I may have made some additional progress, but that's more, still a private doc. But as I communicate that will increase pretty quickly. Approved 25 grantees at ETH-Rio. We just returned from ETH-Rio, and there will be a full retrospective report out at the end of the week. As Adrian mentioned, we made a massive splash and really got a good grasp of connecting with the culture. But through Project Y and other grantees, I focused a lot of my efforts on as a silent multi-sig partner for all 7 of our Project Y teams. of just curating opportunities for each of the teams and divvying them up according to the skill sets of each of our teams so that they can run with it from there and just providing ongoing support. I expect to far surpass that number of 25, but I've listed it at 50 to be on the conservative side. With running the Q1 performance review, I've listed that at 33%. We have just finished our first milestone there. So our second 2 milestones will be completed by the end of the month and beginning the second phase of that today. And one more thing, going back to what Adrian and Edward mentioned, one thing that I'm very proud of our team, and hats off to Danny and Boris and Adrian for really building this out. But Marcia from Masaya de Favela, we built a deep connection with her. At first, our intention was to really find a way to connect with the local community and developers there and find, put our ears to the ground, find out what it is that they need, because that's nothing that we can decide on. That we have to build relationships with those in the community who have deep understanding and relationships built with their, community members to find out what it is that they need, because there's no one size fits all. For example, we can't just donate laptops and walk away. We have to build that relationship and ensure that there's a little infrastructure there so that they have an opportunity to learn. So the barrier of entry for them to go and start coding, minting an NFT, and have immediate income is just as easy as, or hopefully easier than, the opportunity that exists to go and be involved in drug trafficking. We have to make it so easy that they don't say no to the opportunity. So we're very thankful to partner with Masaya de Favela to provide laptops and build the infrastructure for a hacker lab so that the community members can go and receive ongoing instruction, and that can eventually accelerate their knowledge in Web3. And I would like to also share that I would like to propose, in a sense, that we, as we go to developing countries, we do one less event and focus that money on building something similar in those areas so that grows in our absence, and really means we don't just go and put our foot down of, look at all the things we want to accomplish. It's the people in the community get the credit. They decide how it functions, and we are just there to provide the door to make it wide open so everyone can enter Web3. So that is something that I'm very passionate about moving forward with, and connecting with Edward and Adrian on building some of those things out as we go to other developing areas. But just want to give a huge shout out to the Rio team for executing the vision and pivoting when we realized that our vision was only half the equation, and still making it very, very successful.
Did you guys talk about a potential Brazil DAO?
We have a few things in motion. Yeah, there are. We want to kind of take a page out of the LATAM DAO playbook, but there are some project-wide DAOs being formed, and then we hosted a soccer tournament or a football tournament to really engage the local developers and people that are passionate about Web3, and through that we are in discussions to build a blockchain club out there for that can become a DAO that will serve many universities.
Great. And performance reviews, you can probably go above 33% there, right?
Yeah, I like to stay conservative, but as of today, we should be hitting that 66% mark.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Essa, you're up next. Are you in San Francisco right now?
I am, yep.
All right.
And just in my hotel room. So I saw, okay, so we actually adjusted mine this morning, last night. So before I had standardized event planning and published standards, we are still at 60% because there are some things that are still up in the air with the events team right now. I will be publishing something within the next 48 hours. And hopefully by Thursday afternoon, we can have some things more solidified. So I think we should keep that at 60%. I added on GDC to 10 grantees at ETH Austin. So right now I'm meeting, or I don't want to say myself, I'm working with Flu, who's partnered with me on Project Y. So we have 6 projects right now that we're meeting with. And then hopefully this week we'll have another 5 to 6 that we can meet with as well. So I would keep that at 50 well, maybe we could change that to like 40% if you want to, Lee.
Are you going down?
I'm going to go down a little bit. Yeah. Well, GDC, I haven't really started it all yet. So I think that averages out at a lower number. Okay. And then, so before I had lead Coachella activation, there are a lot of people working on the team for Coachella. I put down published Coachella operations strategy. That is something that I'm going to have to work with Sammy, hopefully, and the rest of the events team. So I'm going to keep that at 5% right now. I don't know that that's something that I need to take off for my March deliverable. I do think that it's something that I can accomplish within the next 10 days. There's just a lot of, and you guys can give me feedback. There's just a lot of things that I'm not completely aware of with Coachella yet, and what's going to be involved in planning that. But there has been a foundation that has been laid out for the activation. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we may need to just break that up into a subset, something smaller that you feel good about delivering. But we can discuss that offline.
Okay, perfect.
Not to distract anybody, but if you watch carefully in the recording, as I was talking, I had a visitor in my garage. A squirrel, a wild squirrel came in, and this is not the first time. And I've nicknamed him Kevin because he is a friend. Anyway, just so you guys know, he came to visit.
Get his March deliverables. Okay, thanks, Essa.
Find nut, bury nut, eat nut.
Okay, Max.
Hey guys, so I've been working on trimming some level of the blockchain bloat that we've established running so far. There is the delegation data pruning, which involves the removal of stale delegations that delegators have undelegated from certain validators, but the data is still stored. So I'm working on removing that. Similarly, when rewards were being distributed per block instead of being aggregated across 64 blocks, we had a large state explosion during that period. So I'm again working on trimming that. So the first one is forward looking, the second one is backwards looking. We're trimming this information in archival nodes because we already have a fix there, a long-term fix there. And for the second one, we're going to need a hard fork because for the first one, we're going to need a hard fork because that's a forward-looking fix. And then on the third step, which is the one where it's lower than 50%, it's the addition of staking precompile support to the SDKs. Again, I have not looked at this too much just yet because it's a fairly trivial task in my opinion. But I have a PR for all three SDKs. Well, not a PR, but I do have the base tests ready for all three SDKs. So it's not going to take me too much time to push this out.
Okay. It was a little hard to hear you there, Max, but so with the staking precompile support in SDK, you said that stays at 40, or do you need to revise that?
No change today, but should we? I don't plan to exceed the March target for any of these. No change today, though.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, Konstantin, you're up next.
Yeah. Second and third task, they depend on each other. So it's a research. I'm trying to figure out what's problem with performance, and right now I did not find the problem. I'm working on it. I don't know what to say more, so it's searching right now. Yes.
Okay, so the 90-30-30 is still accurate?
Yeah, just I've already updated it.
Okay, so we have 15 minutes left. I want to leave some time for breakout rooms. Well, obviously we have a lot. Also, I should mention that starting next month, and Lee, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're actually going to include contributors as well. I think contributors who do 20 hours plus, right? So I believe Rachel, hopefully Ed next month, you will be on the hook for this stuff as well.
Hey, Lee also approved Me yesterday for 20 hours moving
All
forward.
right, so that means you're in. Start thinking about your April deliverables. Great. Okay. I did just want to do a Z here because he's here and I see a giant 0 here, and that makes me upset. So
All right, I'll take it over for. I'll be very brief. One, true gratitude for all the people who actually actively were on the ground at ETH Austin for the past 72 hours. Just a couple of high numbers. One, we as of this morning, we're at 656 active users on one wallet. That was since last Wednesday. So huge thanks for everyone who were on the ground, activating people on the street, random strangers, complete normies who are in their 20s, never touched Web3. So it's a monumental feat. So round of applause for everyone who were on the ground. Lee, also second note, broke the internet when he announced on Twitter, single-handedly trying to activate more people. So that's something that, we need to manage a little bit better, because literally he broke the app because there's so many people flooding in. So it's a good problem to have, but nonetheless, we do need to manage our kind of a processing going forward to make sure that we're more coordinated. The third, probably most important things, lots of learning learned. And certainly, we'll be applying these in the next 3 to 4 weeks, be heads down to make sure that we're ready for Coachella. So that 0 will be moving, give is a punctuated equilibrium. That's the way I look at it. So I'll be talking to you more in depth sometime when we meet up in person this week, give. So that's the good news, and then also the learnings from the past 72 hours. Thank you.
all right. Thank you, Z. Okay. We'll have to revisit the rest next week, but you have 15 minutes to make any changes before this page gets locked down after this call. So please spend some time just to make any tweaks. And that's it. Any other questions before we go to the breakout rooms? Anything anyone wants to bring up?
Can I just add something off of what Z was saying?
Sure.
I think there was something very valuable that I feel like everyone in the team at some point should experience when it came to South by Southwest. And that was just, getting the real-time feedback from the people that we're actually going to be impacting. Open consensus for 10 billion people does not mean developers. It means everybody. And when you have your ear to the streets and you understand and you can hear what people are actually saying in real time, it's probably the most valuable thing that you can have in bringing it back into your work. So I'm really happy that a lot of the team was able to experience that, and I'm hoping that we can do more of that in the future, so that we're not just, now that we have a retail facing product, I think that's very important that we do some of these culture building events where the team actually gets out there and hears it from the people.
Nice. Z, did you have a question?
No, just concur with Adrian. There were a lot of fiery comments, and it was true passion. I think that's how passion is being forged, right? When you're actually on the ground, kind of in the trenches with your team member. And I think this is something that I think probably what Adrian is looking at. It's not just the numbers and metrics. It's really, these like bonding moments where you're on the street, literally you're battling like 5,000, 10,000 people on the street, and they're saying no to you. And you kind of just on the fly figuring out how to actually calibrate the talking points, right? Calibrate why your products, why this protocol, why this entire blockchain crypto Web3 ecosystem matters. It's really just more about figuring out the right messaging individually, not just talking about the high level, kind of philosophical reminiscence, right? So those are kind of things that I'm learning quite a lot. And then, I'm sure when I meet up with the rest of folks in person this week, I'll probably continue to share notes, and I'll be happy to kind of hopefully repackage it and just kind of share with a broader team and also all the various different community members. But cannot express my gratitude enough. Some of us were up till like 2 or 3 in the morning on the street, shelling, carrying a huge poster, getting people to download the app. So again, lots of lessons learned, but more to come.
I will reiterate, that's one of the reasons why I recommend that everyone spends time in the booth this week at GDC if you're around, because this experience of talking to people over and over and over again and figuring out how to make your value proposition short and concise is one of the most powerful things you can do. And you can't do it in a mirror. Like, you have to be working with other people to see how that impacts. And the best way to do that quickly is to be sitting on the floor at an expo and saying, hey, can I talk to you about the good word of harmony? And seeing if you can break into him that way. Also, Lee was wearing a television, not a poster. So you got a props for Lee being literally on TV. Oh wait, no, flip that. The TV was on him.
Yeah, the photos were awesome. Okay, anything else? Nope. Okay. Have a great week, everyone. I'm going to send you to your breakout rooms. Have a good one.